probably recognise this road because we're heading out to Wirralong, Lake Wirralong, and that means taking the road to Boona. And we're just taking a drive, Millie and me. Can you see her in the back there? Anyway, I wanted to give you an update on two things, and one is the Troopy. It went into the panel shop at the start of the month, as you know, and I gave you a brief update and a couple of shots of the rust that was discovered when the windscreen came out. And it's now the 18th of February, so that was a couple of weeks back that it went in. And I've had a couple of updates since via photographs that the panel beater has been sending me. And so I'll share some of those with you. You'll see that he's replaced, as I said to you, section by section, that front damaged or rusted panel where the windscreen goes. And they do it with a series of small welds, so rather than just put a bead of weld down, which can tend to do two things. You know, one is to warp the metal because it's quite thin, you know, it's only panel, and the second, of course, is to generate a huge amount of heat. And with the dashboard being right alongside, there's just a real risk of melting or burning parts of the dashboard, so they have to apply small amounts of heat and then just eventually build it up, then grind it back. From there they seal, they primer, they paint, they whatever it might be. And it's currently, as you see from these last couple of photos, been masked up for painting of a couple of those other spots, a couple of which, as you know, I'd tackled. So the one on the top, just above the gutter, the one in the lower rocker panel, and then the other one on the other side, which is the one that we did a terrible job of patching up, where the tyre had let go and torn a chunk out of the metal. And so he's going to sort that out too. And then the second thing that I wanted to update you on was Millie herself. And when we get out to Wirralong, I'll talk a bit more about that. So see you in a minute. So let's talk about Millie. As you can see, she has no splint or bandage on her right leg. Now she is hopping a bit, as you can see. And her leg is painfully thin. But she's walking on it and it's okay. And I think I told you that she'd had that operation about 3 or 4 weeks ago to fuse the bones in her right leg. And then when the load all went onto her foot, she busted her toes. And so she had to have pins put in her toes. Now, all of that's been sorted. And while she walks a little strange, she's actually walking without a bandage and without support. Now the left leg, she's now had the operation on that leg to fuse the bones, and then to avoid the load going onto her toes, she's got a splint or a cast on her left leg to support her leg while the fusion, if that's what you call it, is happening. And you can see she'll hop from time to time when something feels a bit painful. So this is a remarkable breakthrough, really, given that, as you'll recall, she's been poked, prodded, screwed, bolted, cut up and all sorts of things for 1.5 years now. We're finally making what seems like some progress. Now she's using her right leg properly, and before too long she'll be using her left leg as well. Now it will mean that she won't have the flexibility in those ankles because their bones have been fused and supported by plates. But she's walking by herself. This is fantastic. And she does it all really without complaint. She's been going off to the hospital every week and sometimes twice a week. She was in there on Tuesday and she's back again on Friday, so in a couple of days' time. And she's very well behaved while she's in there. She lets them change the bandages without griping, and when she comes home she's happy to see us and wags her tail. You know, it feels like if it were me, I'd be filled with resentment that all of these things are happening, and I'd be pretty well useless. You recall when I had that knee operation, how I was moaning and complaining about the pain and stumping about and hobbling and limping for bloody weeks. And yet, you know, she's just had that ankle operation on her left leg a week ago, Tuesday, so 9 days ago. And there she is, you just saw her, you know, walking up and down, no problem at all. So look, a couple of updates, and the Troopy is due to have its windscreen in tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So I think once they put that back in and the bill is sorted, and I have no idea how much it's going to cost, but it needed to be done. So whatever it is, it is. And as soon as I've been able to fix that up, we'll get the Troopy back and we'll take it for another drive. And while there'll be no kind of external changes other than a couple of patches of paint, I'll be a hell of a lot more comfortable about the fact that I know that rust underneath the windscreen isn't getting worse. And then while we do have to attend to stuff on the roof, that's something that I can tackle myself. And I'm still throwing up the idea of a two-tone car. Now, by that I mean a white roof and then a different color everywhere else. And the reason for the white roof obviously is for the benefit of sun. Dark cars are very much hotter than light cars, and so if we keep with stay with a white roof, we get the benefit of that reflective whiteness, and then if we go for another color like the early FJ40s or the Land Rovers, for example, or alternatively bring the first color down to, window height, and then paint just the lower part of it a different color. Now, I reckon that'd look a bit odd, given that you just don't see colors like that much anymore. But it was actually quite common at one time when you had two-tone cars. The color was always down to the bottom of the window or thereabouts, and two different colors, so it'd be worthwhile exploring that. Naturally, you'd keep the top part white for the reasons that I mentioned, but I don't know, what are your thoughts? Anyway, if you have some thoughts on that, feel free to comment. Otherwise, we'll feature the Troopy some more when I get it back from the panel shop. We can have a good look over it. Thanks for watching.